Life in Liechtenstein. 1,000 budget and beautiful women in Europe's richest country. Imagine a country so wealthy that its citizens enjoy one of the highest standards of living in the world. Yet, it's so small, most people on this planet can't even point to it on a map. A place where the locals don't pay income tax. Billionaires casually hide their fortunes, and the streets are so safe, people leave their doors unlocked. Welcome to Liechtenstein, the richest hidden country in Europe and arguably the most exclusive club on Earth. Now, here's the twist. Despite having fewer people than a small town, Liechtenstein is a financial powerhouse with zero national debt and a GDP per capita that crushes countries like the United States, Germany, and even oil-rich giants like Saudi Arabia. And yes, the women here are drop-dead gorgeous, educated, fluent in multiple languages, and fiercely independent. But here's what nobody tells you. Dating here is an entirely different game. This isn't some tourist dating pool. It's tight-knit, private, and, frankly, built for locals. Unless you truly understand how this country works, you'll always be on the outside looking in. So why is Liechtenstein so wealthy? Why is it hidden from mainstream travel? What makes life here feel like a fantasy, if you can afford it? Let's break it down. Liechtenstein is a tiny, landlocked principality tucked between Switzerland and Austria, with a population of just under 40,000 people. That's smaller than most city neighborhoods, but don't let the size fool you. This country plays in the big leagues. Its capital, Vaduz, might look like something out of a postcard, but this isn't some sleepy village. It's home to a booming banking sector, clean streets, ski resorts, and families whose net worth could buy small islands. Now, here's the wild part. Despite being one of the least visited countries in Europe, Liechtenstein quietly holds one of the highest Human Development Index ratings in the world. That means top-tier healthcare, education, safety, and infrastructure, all packed into just 160 square kilometers. And no, this isn't just a haven for the rich. The average citizen here lives well, works a skilled job, and enjoys benefits most of the world can only dream of. But it's not all perfect. There's a catch. Outsiders don't just move here. Residency is notoriously difficult, and most foreigners will never get permanent status. In other words, this country chooses its people, not the other way around. So, what's it really like living here? How do people date, work, party, and raise families in the shadow of the Alps, surrounded by unimaginable wealth? Let me show you what life in Liechtenstein really looks like. And trust me, it's nothing like you think. Geography and demographics. Liechtenstein is so small, you could drive across it in less time than it takes to finish your morning coffee. With a total area of just 160 square kilometers, this entire country is smaller than the city of Washington, D.C., yet it's packed with more economic muscle than countries 100 times its size. Nestled in the heart of Europe, Liechtenstein sits quietly between Switzerland to the west and south and Austria to the east and north. It's entirely landlocked, with no airports, no seaports, and not even a railway station in the capital. And yet, somehow, it's one of the most efficient and economically advanced microstates in the world. This country doesn't scream for attention. There's no flashy tourism industry shouting from the rooftops. In fact, Liechtenstein is one of the least visited countries in Europe, mainly because most people don't even realize it exists. But the ones who do, usually they're not backpackers, they're bankers, CEOs, or diplomats who know exactly what this country offers behind its quiet exterior. The topography of Liechtenstein is straight out of a fairy tale. The Radian Alps dominate most of the country, especially along the eastern border with Austria, where snow-capped peaks, ski resorts, and pristine hiking trails carve through the landscape. Over 40% of Liechtenstein's territory is Alpine, forest, which adds to its postcard-worthy charm, but also limits urban sprawl. That's why cities here feel more like picturesque villages, with stunning chalets, clean streets, and mountain views in every direction. Even with the limited land area, Liechtenstein has managed to maintain a surprisingly dense but well-organized population. As of December 2023, the country's population stands at roughly 40,015 people. That's less than the seating capacity of most football stadiums. Yet, despite the small number, it boasts a carefully balanced society where nearly everything, from employment to education to public services, runs like clockwork. Now, here's where things get interesting. About 1/3 of Liechtenstein's population isn't even native. That's right, around 33% of the residents are foreign citizens, most of whom are from neighboring countries like Switzerland, Austria, and Germany. And they're not just tourists passing through. Many of them live and work here permanently, forming a unique demographic blend that gives this microstate an unexpectedly diverse European flavor. But don't mistake this for an open-door policy. Becoming a permanent resident in Liechtenstein is not easy. Immigration is tightly controlled, and citizenship is almost impossible to obtain unless you have blood ties or marry a citizen. And even then, you might be waiting over a decade. This level of control ensures that the small population remains stable and that public resources aren't stretched. It also helps maintain the country's deep-rooted traditions, language, and cultural identity. Most of the population is concentrated in the Rhine Valley, where the land flattens out enough to allow for farming, housing, and commercial development. The capital city, Vaduz, is home to the royal family and several government institutions, but it's not the largest city. That title goes to Cheyenne, a bustling town with the country's main industries and commercial activity. Despite being a capital, Vaduz has only around 5,500 residents, while Cheyenne houses roughly 6,000. Liechtenstein's official language is German, but what's spoken on the street is usually a regional dialect known as Alemannic German, which can be difficult for even native German speakers to understand. Still, English is widely spoken, especially in business and among the younger generation. It's common to meet locals who are fluent in 3 or more languages, thanks to the country's proximity to other European powerhouses and its emphasis on quality education. Religion also plays a quiet but present role. Around 75% of the population identifies as Roman Catholic, which is still considered the state religion. However, Liechtenstein is notably tolerant and secular in everyday life. Churches dot the villages, but they coexist peacefully with modern banking towers and tech companies. It's a strange yet seamless fusion of old-world faith and 21st century capitalism. Despite its small size, the country is divided into 11 municipalities, each with its own unique flavor and local governance. Some are more traditional, where you'll find old churches and medieval castles. Others are hubs of industry and innovation, home to international corporations and banks that handle billions in global assets. Because of its limited space and tight-knit social structure, Liechtenstein feels more like a private club than a country. Everybody seems to know everyone, and word travels fast. This has its pros and cons. On the one hand, crime is virtually non-existent, and the sense of safety is unmatched. On the other, it's not the easiest place for outsiders to blend in. People are polite, but reserved. They value privacy and tradition. If you're not from here, it takes time to be accepted, and even longer to be truly trusted. Still, the country's geography and demographics are a huge part of what make it so unique. You've got stunning mountains, world-class infrastructure, and a multicultural but controlled population living in harmony, all under the rule of a monarchy that owns actual castles. It's small, yes, but it's elite, and that's exactly the way Liechtenstein likes it. Economic landscape. Liechtenstein's economy is one of those things that sounds like a myth until you look at the numbers. This tiny Alpine nation, smaller than most cities, somehow ranks among the richest countries in the world, and we're not. Just talking about wealth on paper, Liechtenstein has a GDP per capita that consistently places it in the global top 5, rivaling giants like Luxembourg, Qatar, and Singapore. In fact, according to 2024 data, the GDP per capita here sits at over $180,000 USD, which is mind-blowing when you realize that the country doesn't even have an airport or coastline. So, what exactly is powering this economic miracle? It's not oil. It's not tourism. It's a well-oiled machine made up of precision manufacturing, an elite financial sector, and a regulatory system so efficient it almost feels unreal. Liechtenstein has positioned itself as the ultimate example of how smart governance, low taxes, and global neutrality can create economic firepower. Let's start with the financial sector, which has long been the backbone of the country's economy. Banks in Liechtenstein aren't just banks, they're institutions of quiet power. For decades, the country was known as a tax haven, attracting ultra-wealthy clients from around the world who wanted to keep their assets safe, private, and untouched. That reputation came under fire in the early 2000s when Liechtenstein faced international pressure to clean up its banking secrecy laws. But instead of collapsing under scrutiny, the country evolved. It tightened regulations, boosted transparency, and upgraded compliance standards, all while maintaining its competitive edge. Now, Liechtenstein's banks are among the most trusted and stable in Europe, particularly for wealth management and private banking services. The country has more than a dozen financial institutions, each managing assets that are often larger than Liechtenstein's entire GDP. The financial industry contributes over 25% to the national GDP and employs thousands, many of whom commute daily from Austria and Switzerland just to work here. But here's the kicker. The financial sector is only part of the story. While many people assume Liechtenstein survives on banking alone, the reality is that manufacturing is just as crucial, if not more so. You wouldn't expect a country with only 160 square kilometers of land to be a manufacturing powerhouse, but that's exactly what it is. Over 40% of Liechtenstein's GDP comes from industry and manufacturing, particularly in niche markets like dental technology, vacuum pumps, automotive components, and micro-tools. You've probably never heard of Hilti, but this company is a global giant in construction tools and technology, and it's headquartered in Liechtenstein. The brand operates in more than 120 countries and employs over 30,000 people globally. What's wild is that the company's headquarters are located in a quiet town with less than 6,000 people. But that's typical for Liechtenstein. It thrives on being understated. Another surprising name? Ivoclar Vivadent. It's one of the world's leading dental product manufacturers, and guess what? Also based in Liechtenstein. These aren't your average factories either. We're talking about high-tech, automated, environmentally conscious facilities producing some of the most advanced products in their fields. The country doesn't do mass production. It does precision, quality, and innovation. Now, let's talk employment, because this part is almost comical in how impressive it is. As of 2023, Liechtenstein has more jobs than people. Literally. The total number of jobs in the country sits at around 41,000, while the population is only about 40,000. But here's where it gets even crazier. About 56% of the workforce commutes in from outside the country every day, mostly from Austria, Switzerland, and even Germany. These cross-border workers are essential to the economy and are treated with a high degree of respect and legality. There's no friction, just function. Unemployment here is virtually non-existent. We're talking below 2%, and even that is considered high by Liechtenstein standards. Everyone who wants to work can work, and they're usually working in high-skill, high-wage sectors. There are no sprawling fast food chains or cheap retail labor here. Instead, you have engineers, scientists, bankers, and technicians, all working in harmony in a country that values productivity without sacrificing quality of life. Another reason Liechtenstein's economy thrives is because of its business-friendly environment. The country offers incredibly low corporate tax rates, hovering around 12.5%, which makes it one of the most attractive places in Europe for companies to set up shop. The government supports startups and SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, and bureaucracy is kept to a minimum. Getting a business license here doesn't take months, it takes days, and that's not an exaggeration. Liechtenstein is also part of the European Economic Area, EEA, which means it has full access to the European single market even though it's not part of the European Union. This gives it all the benefits of free trade, without the headaches of EU bureaucracy. It also uses the Swiss franc as its official currency, thanks to a customs and monetary union with Switzerland, adding another layer of economic stability and predictability. Despite all this wealth, Liechtenstein is not a flashy country. You won't see luxury cars lining the streets or mega mansions on every hilltop. The wealth here is discreet, quiet, and practical. People drive nice cars, but not to show off. Homes are well-built and tasteful, not oversized palaces. Even the royal family, which is among the richest in Europe, maintains a surprisingly humble public profile. This culture of modesty extends to the entire economy. No wild speculation, no dramatic booms and busts, just steady, controlled prosperity. And that prosperity translates directly into public services. The infrastructure is top-notch, from roads and public transport to healthcare and education. The country invests heavily in research, innovation, and sustainability. Green energy, smart buildings, and eco-friendly regulations are not trends here. They're the standard. In short, Liechtenstein is a living, breathing case study of what happens when a country sticks to what it's good at, keeps corruption low, and builds its systems around logic instead of politics. It's not just surviving, it's thriving quietly and brilliantly. For a country so small, its economic footprint is shockingly large, and its strategies are the kind that economists write papers about. Liechtenstein isn't just rich, it's smart rich. Cost of living. Let's talk about the part most people are really curious about. Can you actually afford to live in Liechtenstein? The short answer, only if your wallet is ready. Liechtenstein isn't just wealthy on paper, it feels it in every corner of everyday life. The country has one of the highest costs of living in the world, and that's not an exaggeration. Whether it's housing, food, healthcare, or transportation, expect to pay a premium for the luxury of calling this microstate home. Start with housing. The average monthly rent for a furnished 85 Metergröße, 915 square feet, apartment in a standard neighborhood is about CHF 1,200 to CHF 1,500, and that's on the low end. If you're looking to live in a more central or upscale area, prices jump fast. A similar apartment in the city center of Vaduz or Schaan could easily cost CHF 2,000 or more per month. And keep in mind, this doesn't include utilities. Water, electricity, heating, garbage, and internet can tack on an additional CHF 300 to 500 monthly, depending on your usage and location. Groceries are another area where your budget takes a hit. Everyday items like milk, eggs, and bread are significantly pricier than in neighboring countries. A liter of milk costs around CHF 1.80, a loaf of fresh bread, nearly CHF 350, and don't even ask about imported goods. A basic grocery haul. For a couple, just the essentials, nothing fancy, can easily hit CHF 100, 120 per week, and that's if you're cooking at home and skipping indulgences. Dining out? Let's just say it's a luxury here. A meal at a mid-range restaurant for two will set you back about CHF 80, 100, not including drinks. Even a simple lunch at a cafe might cost CHF 20 to 30 per person. For context, that's nearly double what you'd pay in most American cities and nearly triple what you'd pay in Eastern Europe. This isn't the kind of place where you casually grab takeout every night, unless, of course, you're working a high-income job or have family money. Transportation is efficient but far from cheap. While the country is small enough that many people commute by car or even bike, public transportation still plays a role. A monthly pass for buses and regional trains runs around CHF 60-100, depending on how far you're traveling and whether you're crossing into Switzerland or Austria daily. Gasoline prices hover near CHF 1.80 $2 per liter, which is roughly USD 7 to 8 per gallon, among the highest in Europe. Now, let's compare it to other countries for some perspective. According to 2024 cost of living data, Liechtenstein is approximately 36.9% more expensive than the United States overall. And if you're coming from countries like India, Vietnam, or even parts of Eastern Europe, the difference is staggering. We're talking 200 to 300% more expensive. It's no wonder that most cross-border workers prefer to commute in from Austria or Switzerland, where rents and daily expenses are slightly lower, and then return home at night. But here's where things get interesting. While living in Liechtenstein can be pricey, the quality of life you get in return is unmatched. You're not just paying for rent or food, you're buying access to a country with virtually no crime, pristine Alpine air, world-class healthcare, and top-tier public services. Schools are excellent, roads are immaculate, and everything runs on time. You won't find traffic jams, neglected infrastructure, or chaotic public systems. Everything just works. Let's also factor in healthcare. Liechtenstein's healthcare system is universal, high quality, and largely privatized but mandatory. That means residents must have health insurance, and while premiums can be high, averaging CHF 400 to 600 per month per adult, the coverage is excellent. You get fast access to specialists, cutting-edge treatments, and healthcare facilities that are ranked among the best in Europe. So, yes, it's expensive. But people aren't just paying for basics. They're buying peace of mind, safety, and efficiency. This is a country where your tax money doesn't disappear into a black hole. Instead, you see it in the form of clean streets, digital public services that actually work, and a government that feels more like a concierge service than a bureaucracy. For many residents, especially foreign professionals or business owners, the cost is justifiable. The average salary in Liechtenstein is around CHF 7,000, 8,000 per month, and even higher in sectors like banking, tech, and manufacturing. So while the expenses are high, so are the earnings. You're not surviving here. You're thriving, as long as you're in the right income bracket. But make no mistake, this is not a backpacker's paradise or a budget traveler's dream. If you're thinking of moving to Liechtenstein on a whim with a modest income, reality will hit hard. CHF 1,000 won't get you far here. Even CHF 2,000 a month might leave you struggling unless your housing is subsidized or you have roommates and a very minimalist lifestyle. Most comfortable residents either earn well or commute from nearby countries where cost of living is slightly more forgiving. In a way, the cost of living acts as a natural gatekeeper. Liechtenstein isn't trying to attract everyone. It's curated, calculated, and exclusive. It's not for show. It's simply how the system functions. If you can afford it, the experience is nearly flawless. If you can't, even Switzerland starts to look like a bargain. So, would you live in Liechtenstein if you had the income to match the lifestyle? That's the question. Because this country doesn't offer budget living. It offers premium living at a premium price. Cultural insights. When you think of Liechtenstein, you probably picture a quiet Alpine country tucked between Switzerland and Austria. And that's accurate, on the surface. But beneath its polished, peaceful exterior lies a culture that's incredibly rich, surprisingly vibrant, and full of quirks that most outsiders would never expect from a country so small. This is where tradition still matters, where community life feels deeply personal, and where people are proud, quietly proud, of their identity. Let's start with language and religion, two cornerstones of any national identity. The official language here is German, but not quite the same German you'd hear in Berlin or Munich. Most Liechtensteiners speak a local dialect called Alemannic German, which sounds very different from High German. It's a softer, more melodic form that shares similarities with the dialects spoken in eastern Switzerland and western Austria. You'll find that locals switch effortlessly between Standard German for formal communication and their dialect when chatting with friends or neighbors. For foreigners, this can be both charming and confusing, especially when the dialect is used almost exclusively in casual settings. As for religion, Christianity, specifically Roman Catholicism, is the dominant faith. Around 75% of the population identifies as Catholic, and the church still plays a visible role in everyday life. Small chapels dot the countryside, and many villages have a church that acts as both a spiritual and social hub. Sundays are still sacred here, not just in the religious sense, but culturally too. Most shops are closed, families gather for meals, and there's a noticeable stillness that reminds you of a time before 24/7 hustle culture took over. It's peaceful, grounding, and honestly kind of refreshing. But don't mistake this spiritual side for stuffiness. Liechtenstein knows how to celebrate, and they do it with style. The country has a number of festivals and traditions that are deeply rooted in local history and identity. One of the biggest is the National Day of Liechtenstein, celebrated every August 15th, which also happens to be the Catholic Feast of the Assumption. It's a day where the usually reserved vibe of the country flips entirely. People come together on the lawn of Vaduz Castle, the prince himself gives a speech, and the whole country feels like one giant extended family reunion. There's food, music, beer, fireworks, and a strong sense of unity. And for once, the royal family isn't just a symbol on the currency. They're right there with the people, shaking hands and sipping local wine. Then there's Fastnacht, the pre-Lenten carnival that's popular throughout much of the German-speaking world. In Liechtenstein, Fastnacht is a colorful, chaotic celebration filled with parades, elaborate costumes, traditional music, and masked figures dancing in the streets. It's rooted in centuries-old rituals meant to chase away winter spirits and welcome spring. And let's be honest, any excuse to throw on a wild outfit and party during the gray days of winter is a welcome one. Kids love it. Adults participate with surprising enthusiasm, and it brings a playful energy that contrasts beautifully with the country's usual calm. Another beloved tradition is the Funken, a huge bonfire lit in early spring to symbolize the end of winter and the triumph of light over darkness. While it might sound like just another excuse to make a big fire, it's actually deeply symbolic and community-driven. Families gather around the flames, share food, and tell stories. It's one of those moments that reminds you how tightly knit the society is. You're not just watching a fire, you're part of something older, something meaningful. Liechtenstein's cultural values also show up in its day-to-day life. Respect, punctuality, and modesty are key. People here aren't flashy, and there's a quiet pride in being efficient and orderly. You won't see much extravagance on the streets, even though the wealth is definitely there. In fact, some of the wealthiest individuals in Europe live here, but you'd never know it. It's part of the cultural DNA. Success is something to be appreciated, not flaunted. Education and tradition also go hand in hand. The school system emphasizes not only academic success but also civic responsibility and cultural heritage. Kids learn about local history from a young age. There's a strong emphasis on multilingualism, with many students learning English and French in addition to German. That's impressive, especially when you consider how small the country is. But again, that's Liechtenstein. Small, but always punching above its weight, and while Liechtenstein is modern and connected, it's not in a rush to throw away its roots. You'll find this balance in its architecture too. In Vaduz, sleek modern buildings stand beside centuries-old churches. Mountain villages feature traditional wooden chalets that have stood for generations, often with perfectly tended gardens, and views that seem straight out of a painting. It's this blend of old and new, of past and present, that makes the culture here feel so real, like it's lived in, not manufactured for tourists. Speaking of tourists, they're welcomed, but they're not the center of attention. Liechtenstein doesn't bend over backwards to impress outsiders. There aren't massive resorts or tourist traps, just a country quietly doing its own thing. And that's part of the charm. If you show up with curiosity and respect, locals are happy to share their world with you. But they're not trying to sell you an experience. They're simply living their truth. Even gender roles and social expectations, which tend to be more traditional, are slowly evolving. Women in Liechtenstein gained the right to vote only in 1984, which seems late compared to the rest of Europe. But today, women play a growing role in business, politics, and academia, and gender equality is becoming an increasingly visible part of the national conversation. Progress here moves thoughtfully, not in sudden waves, but in deliberate steps. One more surprising aspect of Liechtenstein's culture: privacy is sacred. People value their personal space and tend to avoid prying into others' business. It's not coldness. It's just the way things are done. Relationships are built slowly and based on trust. Once you're in, you're in. But don't expect warm hugs and personal questions right off the bat. So, what do you get when you blend deep tradition, modern efficiency, quiet pride, and an eye toward the future? You get Liechtenstein's culture, an intricate tapestry that's as understated as it is fascinating. It's not loud or dramatic, but it's authentic. And in a world full of noise, that authenticity feels more valuable than ever. Lifestyle and social norms life in Liechtenstein is, for the most part, peaceful, orderly, and steeped in a strong sense of personal responsibility. It's a country where people are proud of their heritage, but they also embrace the advantages that come with living in one of the world's most prosperous nations. On the surface, everything seems to run smoothly, like a well-oiled machine, and in many ways, it does. But dig a little deeper, and you'll find that daily life here has an understated charm, marked by high standards and a deeply rooted sense of community. Daily life, a high standard of living. In Liechtenstein, residents enjoy one of the highest standards of living in the world. Whether it's access to top-tier healthcare, excellent educational institutions, or highly efficient public services, everything in this tiny country is designed to support a comfortable and fulfilling lifestyle. It's a place where people don't have to worry much about the basics. Health, education, and public safety are all taken care of, so they can focus on the finer details of life. Healthcare in Liechtenstein is among the best in Europe. The country boasts a highly effective healthcare system that combines universal coverage with world-class medical facilities. While the country is small, it benefits from partnerships with Switzerland, which is known for its excellent healthcare infrastructure. Most residents have access to private and public healthcare options, with advanced medical technologies and specialists available at their fingertips. Routine checkups, preventative care, and treatments for complex conditions are all part of what makes life here so comfortable. Education is another area where Liechtenstein excels. The country places a strong emphasis on ensuring that all residents receive quality education. Children typically attend primary school for about 9 years, after which they can pursue either vocational training or further academic studies at secondary schools or universities. The curriculum is rigorous, and there's a noticeable focus on multilingualism. Most students are fluent in German, English, and French, and this multilingual foundation prepares them well for the global economy. Additionally, students are often encouraged to take part in extracurricular activities that promote leadership and social responsibility. But beyond the formal systems of healthcare and education, the daily life in Liechtenstein is characterized by a deep connection to nature and a love of outdoor activities. The country's stunning Alpine landscapes provide ample opportunities for hiking, skiing, and cycling. During the winter, locals flock to the mountains for skiing, snowboarding, and tobogganing. In the summer months, hiking, biking, and nature walks become the preferred ways to relax and unwind. These outdoor activities are not just hobbies, they are part of the culture, offering not only physical exercise but also opportunities for social bonding and community involvement. Whether it's taking a stroll around the town of Vaduz or participating in a local hike with neighbors, there's a sense of connection to the natural world that is deeply ingrained in Liechtenstein's lifestyle. Social etiquette. The importance of privacy and formality. In terms of social interactions, Liechtensteiners have a reputation for being reserved and private. Privacy is a valued commodity here, and people take care to maintain boundaries. You're unlikely to encounter strangers who strike up conversations with you on the street or in a cafe. Instead, people tend to focus on their own business, and that's perfectly normal. This preference for privacy is not a sign of rudeness but rather an appreciation for personal space. In fact, it's considered impolite to ask personal questions unless you've known someone for a long time. That said, when you do get to know a Liechtensteiner, you'll discover that they are warm and loyal friends who place a lot of importance on deep, meaningful relationships. Their social circles are typically tight-knit, and loyalty and trust are highly valued. Once you've earned a Liechtensteiner's trust, you can count on them for life. However, this trust is not easily given. It takes time and effort to build a relationship in this country, but the reward is often a lifelong friendship that transcends borders. In terms of etiquette, punctuality and politeness are key. Being late is generally unacceptable, especially in professional or formal settings. Whether you're attending a meeting or a social gathering, it's important to arrive on time or even a little early. In fact, punctuality is seen as a sign of respect for other people's time, so the concept of fashionably late simply doesn't apply in Liechtenstein. Similarly, you will find that Liechtensteiners take care in the way they address one another. Formal titles are used in conversation, especially in business or public settings, and casual familiarity takes time to develop. So, while it may take a while for the ice to break, once it does, you can enjoy the camaraderie that is built on mutual respect and shared interests. Politeness also extends to the way people dress. While casual attire is fine for everyday activities, you'll notice that people tend to dress more conservatively and neatly when attending events or going out in public. In a social setting, it's not uncommon to see people wearing elegant, well-put-together outfits, even for something as simple as a meal at a local restaurant. This sense of decorum reflects a cultural value placed on presenting oneself with respect and dignity, something that is expected, whether you're interacting with close friends or strangers. In social interactions, people often follow a series of rituals that might seem formal to outsiders but are simply part of the cultural fabric. When you enter a home, for example, it's polite to greet everyone with a handshake. If you're dining with locals, wait for the host to signal the start of the meal, and remember to use formal table manners. Similarly, giving gifts is common, especially during the holiday season, and these gifts are typically chosen with thoughtfulness and care. It's all about respecting others and making sure that every interaction, no matter how small, is marked by mutual consideration. Despite its reputation for formality, Liechtenstein is also a very hospitable country. While it might take a little longer for someone to invite you into their home or share their personal life, once they do, you're likely to experience a level of warmth and generosity that can be surprising. These small gestures of kindness are an integral part of what makes Liechtenstein a unique and fascinating place to live or visit. Work-life balance. A priority Liechtenstein also excels when it comes to work-life balance. With a strong economy and highly efficient businesses, many residents enjoy work schedules that allow for plenty of leisure time. There's an overall sense of balance between career and personal life, which is often reinforced by the country's tight-knit community culture. People work hard, but they also make time for family, friends, and nature. In a country known for its high standards of living, it's not unusual for people to spend their weekends hiking in the mountains or attending a social gathering with loved ones. The government also supports family-friendly policies, ensuring that working parents have access to affordable childcare and generous parental leave. It's all about making sure people are not just surviving, but truly thriving. Tourism and attractions. Liechtenstein, despite its small size, punches well above its weight when it comes to tourism. The country may not have the same level of fame as its larger neighbors, Switzerland and Austria, but those who visit are often left mesmerized by the country's natural beauty, charming landscapes, and the warmth of its people. Whether you are an outdoor enthusiast seeking adventure, a history buff eager to explore medieval castles, or simply looking to immerse yourself in the serene beauty of Alpine surroundings, Liechtenstein offers something for everyone. Natural beauty, a haven for outdoor enthusiasts. One of the most striking aspects of Liechtenstein is its breathtaking alpine scenery. The country is nestled in the heart of the Swiss Alps, with towering peaks and lush valleys that create a picturesque backdrop for daily life. The Rhine River runs along the northern border, adding to the country's natural beauty, while steep, forest-covered hillsides and vast meadows provide a tranquil environment for relaxation and adventure alike. Liechtenstein's geography, though small, is exceptionally diverse. The country's location in the Alps means it boasts a variety of landscapes, from rugged mountain terrain to gentle rolling hills, perfect for outdoor pursuits. Hiking and biking are particularly popular activities here, with an extensive network of well-maintained trails that connect various villages and offer stunning vistas at every turn. Whether you're trekking along the Eschenbalzers Trail or taking a scenic walk up to Gafle, the views of snow-capped peaks, pristine lakes, and idyllic meadows are enough to make you forget time altogether. In the winter months, Liechtenstein transforms into a snow-covered paradise. The mountains offer excellent opportunities for skiing, snowboarding, and snowshoeing, attracting both locals and tourists looking for a winter retreat. The country may not have the extensive ski resorts of nearby Switzerland, but it offers a more intimate, quieter alternative, where you can enjoy the slopes without the large crowds and high prices. The Malbin ski area is the country's main ski resort, offering well-groomed slopes for all skill levels and breathtaking views over the alpine landscape. For nature lovers, the country is also home to a number of nature reserves and protected areas like the Liechtenstein Nature Reserve in the Rhine Valley. Here, visitors can explore wildlife such as red deer, roe deer, and various bird species. Birdwatchers will also find the area rich in wildlife, with native species of owls, hawks, and even eagles that frequent the mountainous terrain. Additionally, Liechtenstein is known for its pristine, untouched natural spaces. Its small size means that it is easy to experience the whole country in a few days, with access to nature always just a short distance away from any of the urban areas. This proximity to nature offers not only opportunities for hiking and skiing, but also for those who want to enjoy a quiet, peaceful retreat in the heart of the Alps. History, art, and culture. While the natural beauty of Liechtenstein may be its most prominent feature, the country is also home to a number of historical and cultural attractions that showcase its rich heritage and distinctive identity. From impressive castles to modern art museums, the country offers a diverse array of sites that reflect its deep cultural roots. Vaduz Castle, perhaps the most iconic landmark in Liechtenstein, is Vaduz Castle, which stands proudly on a hill overlooking the capital, Vaduz. This medieval castle, which dates back to the 12th century, is not only a symbol of the country's history, but also the official residence of the Prince of Liechtenstein. The castle is not open to the public, as it serves as a private residence, but it can be viewed from the town below, offering an impressive sight with its towering walls and ancient architecture. The castle's location atop a steep hill adds to its mystique, making it a favorite for tourists to snap photos and marvel at the views. Although visitors can't enter the castle itself, Vaduz Castle remains an important part of Liechtenstein's cultural identity, embodying the nation's monarchy and history. In addition, the surrounding castle park offers a pleasant place to walk and enjoy panoramic views of the city and the Alpine foothills. The art museums of Vaduz art and culture lovers will find plenty to explore in Vaduz, which is home to several notable museums that reflect the country's artistic legacy. The Liechtenstein National Museum is the perfect place to start, offering exhibitions that showcase the country's history, culture, and natural heritage. The museum houses a vast collection of artifacts, from ancient Roman objects to medieval art and traditional Liechtenstein crafts. It is an excellent place to learn more about the country's past, from its early history to its establishment as a sovereign state. For those with an interest in modern art, the Kunstmuseum Liechtenstein offers a fascinating selection of contemporary works. Located in the center of Vaduz, this museum has earned a reputation for its innovative exhibits, featuring works from both local and international artists. The museum's sleek, modern design contrasts with the traditional architecture of Vaduz, reflecting Liechtenstein's mix of the old and the new. From paintings and sculptures to installations and digital art, the Kunstmuseum is a must-visit for those who appreciate contemporary art. Additionally, the Postal Museum in Vaduz provides insight into the country's postal history and showcases rare stamps from the country's long tradition of philately. Liechtenstein is renowned for its beautiful stamps, and the Postal Museum is a tribute to the role that the country's postal services have played in its global identity. Scenic hiking trails and Alpine villages. Liechtenstein may be small in size, but its hiking trails pack a punch in terms of natural beauty and accessibility. Many of these trails wind through charming Alpine villages, where you can take in the traditional architecture and feel the pulse of the country's rural life. Villages such as Balsers, Eschen, and Schellenberg offer quiet escapes from the bustle of urban life, with picturesque houses, cobblestone streets, and local cafes where you can enjoy a cup of coffee and take in the scenery. The first Franz Josef Trail, for instance, is one of the most famous hiking routes in the country. This scenic trail takes you on a journey through dense forests, rolling hills, and up into the Alpine peaks, offering incredible views of the surrounding mountains. Whether you're a novice or an experienced hiker, the well-marked trails of Liechtenstein are accessible to all levels, providing unforgettable vistas with every step. For those interested in a more relaxing experience. Lake Gangels and Lake St. Lucie offer perfect spots for a peaceful picnic or leisurely stroll, surrounded by nature's serenity. These serene locations serve as great spots for relaxation, allowing visitors to enjoy the natural beauty of the country at a slower pace. Unique aspects Liechtenstein, despite its small size, has a unique political and social structure that distinguishes it from other nations. As one of the few remaining constitutional monarchies in the world, it offers a fascinating blend of traditional rule and modern governance. In this section, we will explore the country's political structure, recent developments, and other distinctive aspects that make Liechtenstein truly one of a kind. Political structure: a constitutional monarchy with a twist at the heart of Liechtenstein's political system is its constitutional monarchy. The country is led by a prince who holds significant powers, which is a key feature of its unique political identity. While Liechtenstein is often thought of as a modern and progressive country, it maintains a level of monarchical influence that is uncommon in today's world. Liechtenstein's Prince Hans Adam II, currently the head of state, holds considerable authority. Although the country has a parliamentary system, the prince has the constitutional right to veto legislation, meaning that any laws passed by the parliament can be rejected by the monarch if they don't align with his vision for the country. This gives the prince a level of control over important national decisions, far beyond what might be seen in other modern monarchies. For example, the prince can also appoint judges, including those in the highest courts, further consolidating his influence over the country's legal system. However, the political balance is maintained through the elected parliament, known as the Landtag, which consists of 25 members who are responsible for making decisions on domestic and foreign policy matters. Although the prince's veto power exists, it is rarely exercised, and much of the day-to-day governance is handled by the government and prime minister. The country's legislative process is notably efficient, with a strong emphasis on direct democracy, allowing citizens to participate in decision-making through referendums and initiatives. This democratic engagement provides a layer of checks and balances, making the political environment both dynamic and adaptable. The prince's involvement in political affairs is not just ceremonial. He plays a key role in maintaining the country's neutrality, an aspect of Liechtenstein's foreign policy that is crucial to its international standing. By keeping ties with major powers like Switzerland and Austria, and by remaining outside of large geopolitical conflicts, the prince ensures that the country remains stable and prosperous. Liechtenstein's government also includes the prime minister, who is the head of government and responsible for overseeing the administration. While the prime minister is an elected official, the prince's influence remains potent in guiding key policies, a historic milestone. In recent years, Liechtenstein has witnessed significant political change. One of the most groundbreaking developments has been the election of Brigitte Haas, who is set to become the country's first female prime minister. This marks a historic milestone for the country, signaling progress in terms of gender equality and representation in high office. Haas's ascension to power has been met with enthusiasm, not only for her political acumen, but also for what she represents. Her election is a clear signal that Liechtenstein, although a small and traditional monarchy, is embracing the need for diversity and modernity in its leadership. Her rise to the position of prime minister is likely to inspire more women to pursue political careers, both within the country and in the broader region. This transition is also significant in terms of the political landscape. Although Liechtenstein's political system is deeply rooted in monarchical traditions, the shift towards a female-led government reflects the country's growing commitment to inclusivity and social progress. As a skilled leader, Haas brings a fresh perspective to a country that has long been known for its stability and wealth, suggesting that Liechtenstein's future will continue to evolve in exciting ways. Another notable recent change has been the increased focus on international partnerships. In line with her progressive stance, Haas is expected to work closely with neighboring countries to expand trade agreements and engage in global discussions on issues such as climate change and sustainable development. Her government aims to strengthen Liechtenstein's position on the world stage while retaining its neutral stance on global conflicts. This delicate balance between active participation in global affairs and maintaining political neutrality is a key aspect of the country's foreign policy that Haas is likely to champion during her tenure. Neutrality and international relations. While Liechtenstein maintains a strong relationship with Switzerland and Austria, the country is also known for its neutrality in international conflicts. This neutrality has been crucial to its ability to avoid military engagements and position itself as a peaceful and stable country in an often tumultuous world. The principle of neutrality allows Liechtenstein to maintain positive diplomatic ties with countries across the globe, and its non-involvement in military alliances has made it an attractive place for international business and finance. Liechtenstein's strategic approach to foreign relations has played a large part in its economic success, allowing the country to foster relationships with major powers while avoiding the complex political entanglements that often accompany involvement in global conflicts. Liechtenstein's role as a financial center is supported by its neutral stance, which allows it to serve as a stable environment for international business dealings and economic growth, economy, and social development. Another Defining characteristic of Liechtenstein is its prosperous economy and social stability. While the country is politically unique, it also stands out for its impressive economic performance. It has one of the highest GDPs per capita in the world, driven largely by its financial services, manufacturing sector, and attractive tax policies. Despite being a small country, Liechtenstein punches well above its weight economically, with many global corporations maintaining a presence in the country due to its business-friendly environment. The country's high standard of living is reflected in its robust social systems. Residents enjoy excellent healthcare, education, and public services, ensuring that social inequality remains relatively low. The country's commitment to social development is evident in its well-funded public services, which are a hallmark of its progressive governance. Liechtenstein is a country that stands out not only for its wealth and stability, but also for its unique political system and recent social advancements. With its constitutional monarchy, the significant role of the prince, and the growing prominence of female leadership, the country is navigating its way through a complex modern world while maintaining the traditions that make it unique. The country's progress on gender equality, political inclusion, and international cooperation shows that while its monarchy may be rooted in history, Liechtenstein is prepared for the future, embracing change while respecting its past. Liechtenstein may be small in size, but it's a giant when it comes to culture, history, and economic power. Nestled between Switzerland and Austria, this microstate combines natural beauty with a highly successful, wealthy economy and a political system unlike any other. From its unique monarchical structure to its modern leadership, there's much more to Liechtenstein than meets the eye. Whether you're captivated by its breathtaking Alpine landscapes, fascinated by its business-friendly environment, or intrigued by its progressive social policies, this country is a testament to how a small nation can make a big impact on the world stage. Liechtenstein's blend of tradition and progress, coupled with its incredible quality of life, offers something for everyone. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a nature lover, or someone looking for an intriguing place with a rich cultural identity. Despite its size, the country has found its niche as a financial hub and cultural treasure, attracting visitors and residents alike who seek to enjoy the best of both worlds. Now, we want to hear from you. What surprised you the most about Liechtenstein? Was it its political system, the wealth of its people, or perhaps the way it balances modernity with tradition? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going. And don't forget to check out our next video, where we'll explore another fascinating destination that may just surprise you as much as Liechtenstein did. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to bring you more hidden gems from around the globe.